I'm Molly and it's my second year with UEANC.
I'm Ellie and I'm treasurer of the club this year, and we're just going to talk a bit about dealing with grief. So my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 2. She battled loads of different cancers, had loads of chemo and different treatments before she lost her battle in 2009 when I was 8. She, throughout her life when she had cancer, she did so much amazing fundraising. So she had an operation on her back, and I think it was like 10 days later she went to China and walked the Great Wall of China. She raised so much money, which is why I wanted to involve that fundraising and that history with netball this year and support not the same charity but breast cancer awareness and cancer charities to raise some more money as well.
So I lost my dad when I was 13, 6 years ago, to quite a short battle with cancer. He was always making us laugh, even to like the last second. Obviously, it's not really what people expect from people our age, so I got a tattoo of him, and it kind of just opens the conversation because people ask about it, and obviously, if it opens a conversation, it makes it easier for me to just come out with it rather than getting a friendship and people be like, oh, where's your dad, and have to go through it all.
So what did you guys feel about the grieving process? Did you cry a lot or?
So I was quite young, but I was the older sister, so I think I kind of just was strong about it and looking after my sister. But I was also, I think you were saying the same, like really intrigued. I wanted to know all the ins and outs, and obviously I was only 8 when she died and even younger when she was dealing with cancer, so they were like, no, we can't tell you the ins and outs. But I remember like looking at paperwork behind my dad's back because I think my process was trying to understand like the science behind it really helped. And then I think like when we got told that the cancer had moved to her liver and that she was going to die soon, it's kind of just like numbness, I think, is what you like get your emotions out, and then everyone's like, are you okay? And it's just like nothing behind, like everything else is kind of irrelevant. It's kind of like a blurred period. I don't know if it was the same for you.
Yeah, so my dad's battle was quite short and we weren't really expecting it to go that way. I mean, no one ever wishes it does, but I had been on a ski trip with school actually the week before. I just get dropped off and my aunties pick me up and we go to the hospital, and I get told, I just went, oh. Yeah. Okay, went to see him. I was like, oh.
You just like never expected
I didn't
it
cry.
to happen to you.
No.
I don't think I cried when I got told.
I remember the day he died, and we were waiting obviously for that horrible process.
Yeah.
My sister, who's older than me, was crying because that's how she dealt with it, but I didn't. I think it's because he was such a funny man to me.
Yeah.
Like it was easier to deal with it in the way I knew he would.
Yeah, I think for me, because it was so prolonged, I think I'd kind of like I dealt with it, cried,
You
got
probably
upset,
grieved for her before.
Yeah, I think I did, and like I remember she was in the hospice for I don't even know how long it was, a couple of weeks, and I remember like we went to say our goodbyes before the day, and then it was kind of just every day.
Waiting.
Like we'd be at home with our grandparents, and then Dad would come home and we'd be like, and he'd be like, no, not yet. Like and then we just like laid in bed, and he just came out with that she passed last night, and it was like just got on with our days. I know my sister had a lot more time off school than I did. I wanted to go back to school straight away. I was like, I need the distraction. Yeah. And everyone at school was like, oh, is this true? Is this true? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want me to say about it?
I think another thing is it's morbid and it's horrible, but it's the waiting.
Yeah.
Like, so my dad was in a hospice and just waiting and like having to tell them to go because they hold on.
Yeah.
That was the worst bit, I think.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it now?
It's very random. A lot of people think like on Mother's Day, like, oh, is she okay? She's going upset. Usually it's not the kind of triggers that you think it is. It's like something random unlocks a random memory that I've not thought about for a long time. And I'm like, oh. And for me as well, it's like big occasions are always bittersweet. Like my 21st recently, my 18th, like my graduation, my wedding is always going to be like having a great time, but there's always that feeling in the back of your mind like that she's not here. And as well with my dad, like I can see it in his face that he's just thinking that he wishes she was here. So it's just like, I think because it's been quite a while for me, it's just like a dull reminder that like just brings you down a bit every now and then. I think when I get upset about random things, my brain brings that back and says, oh, being sad today.
Yeah.
Is this that happened that makes you upset?
Just add that extra layer. Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
that's dead.
Yeah. Literally.
It's like, I think it's always there. Like, I don't think there's been one day in the 6 years he's been gone that I haven't thought of him every day.
Yeah.
But of course it comes more, and it comes at the weirdest time.
It's so random.
I literally,
It's so random.
like Father's Day doesn't bother me. His birthday
Not bothered.
doesn't bother me. The smell of like stir fry or something, because that's the one thing he could vaguely cook because all he did is put it in a pan.
Yeah. Just like random.
Some days will just set me off.
Sets you off.
My housemate will be cooking, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And it's really hard to explain that to people as well, because they're kind of very wary around you on like Mother's Day and Father's Day, and then other stuff is like hard to explain that's just made me upset.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm really strong about it, when I am upset about it, it's hard to tell people because no one expects it. They think, oh my god, like they panic.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm fine, just having a bit of a sad moment.
Yeah, and like, I think it comes to a lot of bottling up. So I was 13. I didn't grieve at that time.
Yeah.
But then it will like come every now and then, and you realise you're not actually ever going to be over it, but it's okay.
Yeah, you just learn to live with it. Yeah, I think there was we were talking about crying earlier.
Yeah.
I remember I did cry, not when they told me and not when she died, just in that period of like 2 weeks, got it all out. And I remember it was like at least 5 years before I actually shed another tear. Like it was a long time before I could actually physically cry. I got upset that nothing came out. I think I'm a lot better now at dealing with my emotions, but
I think that's quite similar to me. Like, I didn't cry, and that used to make me angry.
yeah,
Like, why?
I feel guilty.
I
that
feel
you're
like,
not
why am
upset.
I not crying and like an emotional wreck? Because
You should be. Like everyone says you should be. Like the day we sprinkled her ashes, I went to a birthday party.
Yeah.
It was like one of those parties when you're in the ball on the pool.
Oh,
And I remember getting the invitation and being like, oh, I'm not
Of
going
course
to be able to
it's
go because it's the day. My dad was like, no, if you want to go, she would want you to go. So I went, didn't tell anyone at the party where I'd been that morning. But I was like, why would I not want to?
It was so funny, and the jokes he would make. So
Dark
I used that because, like, how tall's your dad? He's 6 foot under, not 6 foot. Because at the end of the day, he's gone. There's no point crying about it now. I've just got to laugh because he would.
Yeah.
And he laughed to the very end.
Me and my sister, the dark humour.
Yeah.
But it kind of scares people sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get why you don't want to make jokes about it, and I think if someone else made a joke, I'd be a bit. But if I'm laughing about my joke, laugh with me because it is funny.
I think it opens it up more to people because, of course, it's uncomfortable. Like, no one wants to be told.
It's an awkward conversation. No one wants you to tell them that your mum's died.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to say.
Yeah, and it's more difficult for them sometimes. Like, we've come to terms with it.
Yeah.
But I think
It's a lot for.
from this, it's people knowing it's okay to ask the questions because.
Yeah. Sometimes I find it worse when people don't ask. I'm like, do you not want to know?
Yeah.
Are you not interested enough
Like,
to know why? I'd rather people ask me,
Yeah.
and I could talk for hours about it, like we have
Well,
today.
I love like telling stories of him because he was
Yeah.
a strange man. It's funny, but it brings them into university because, like you said, big occasions, graduation, there's going to be someone not
It's
there.
always,
Like
memory.
uni friends, not knowing them and not being able to meet them, but still knowing things about them.
Yeah, for me as well, like having a boyfriend for I've been with him 5 years, but he never met her.
Yeah.
So it's like little things like making sure that
And
he knows what she was like.
that's how like it all changes as well. If you grow up, you're going to be in relationships. That conversation is probably one of the worst ones. Like, when they're asking about your family, like, oh yeah.
I always think like when I have kids, and they're like, where's grandma? Like, gone.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Don't know about you.
I think you might have missed.
Yeah. It is a good day.
It is also difficult because obviously if you lose a parent young, they were probably young, and I had to kind of deal with my dad's friend's grief
Yeah.
and like them putting it on.
I think that's a lot of stuff that I missed being young. I didn't really see a lot of, and I think because she was ill for so long as well, it wasn't really like there wasn't everyone around her knew it was coming, so it wasn't really like there was this wave of people upset with you.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a shock. It was horrible,
No,
but it wasn't.
everyone
a shock.
kind of. It's surprising how many people like drop off being friends, like 'cause it's too hard. Like you find your real friends. I think my dad would agree.
Oh yeah, and we always knew who they were. So
Yeah.
I think it does. Like, of course, it's so difficult, like seeing a friend do
Yeah.
that, but you see who come, and sometimes friends can be better than family about it.
Yeah, definitely.
People will, they get over the uncomfortable bit, but then it's they want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Whereas
I think they probably have met other people as well.
Mhm.
Whereas in primary school and high school for you, it's very much you're usually like the only one in school and everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas now people have probably met other people, or they might have been through similar things.
Yeah, because it doesn't just have to be a parent. I know both of us is obviously it's an immediate loss of a parent, but
At the end of the day, it's how close you are to them. It doesn't matter who they are.
And I think friends often find it hard to talk about grief of different things. I always say to my friends, I don't care if you're grieving about goldfish, grief's grief.
Yeah.
Like, if
People
you
are like,
find
oh,
it
but
hard
it's
to
not
lose
as bad as
them,
what you went through. I'm like, but it is. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
if you're grieving, I cried more when my dog died than when my dad died. And that's not
It's
to
just a different
say,
way of dealing with
that's just my outlet when my dog died I was sad and I wanted to cry about it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's different for my dad.
So, what do you want people to take away from this video?
I'd say don't be afraid to ask questions. If you say, oh, why do you call your mum Sarah? And I'll say, well, it's not actually my mum. My mum died. And then people are like, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm scared to say it because they're scared to hear it. Whereas if someone was very openly, did your mum die? I would be very comfortable having that conversation. Maybe not quite as blunt as that. But people always think, oh, I won't ask more because maybe I react upset, but that's because I can see that they're going to get upset when I tell them. So I usually try and hide it or like put it on social media so I don't have to tell them, so everyone just knows, reacts,
That
and
little angel
then
symbol and everything.
yeah, literally, yeah.
But it's like it is weird, and I think it's not when people are all sorry. And I'm like,
Why are you sorry?
I'm not.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault, and also if they ask, like, how are you to know?
Yeah.
It's not. You're not expecting someone to turn up and be like, well, actually, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like,
No one
it's
expects
okay.
that. Yeah.
Just go. Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
Yeah.
When? What was he like? I
Yeah.
like that question.
I like that question. What was she like?
Yeah. What was he like?
It's my
Bit
favourite.
of a loon.
A mad one.
A mad one.